Hello, everyone. Well, it's time. The time has come for us to talk about Harry's utterings, both in the interview clips with Cooper Anderson and Bradley. And then, as you may or may not know, the book was released early in Spain and is now leaking the world over. Reading the short pieces, I don't know whether I should laugh or cry or whether these are all true extracts or whether it's jokes or memes or I honestly don't know because some of it is so juvenile and fantastical that it is hard to imagine coming from a grown man. But let's see. Let's start with the leaked pieces. And as I said, I still think some of it may be jokes. We'll find out when the book releases in English. But if not, then Dr. Bookworm recommends Archie and Lily's parents be sanctioned for their mental health and protection of these two children because this, my friends, is crazy shit. I don't even know where to start really, and thus in no chronological order. Let's just grab at the first thing on my screen. According to Harry, the pre-wedding fight between Kate and Meghan happened during a discussion about the timing of the wedding rehearsal and the flower girl dresses. And when Meghan told Catherine that she must have baby brain because of her hormones. This caused a huge row, and Meghan was reprimanded and told that she was not close enough to Catherine to be talking about her hormones, and that people in the royal family did not speak to each other like that. According to Harry, this offended poor Megsie because, according to her, American women do joke and talk to each other like that. And then, even worse, Prince William pointed a finger at Meghan and went on to say, well, it is rude, Meghan. Now, later on, you will understand why I'm going to swap to calling William and Harry by different names. According to Harold, or then Harry, Megan told Big Willie, or William, if you don't mind, keep your finger out of my face. Oh, poor Megsie. How lucky she is, though, because had she dared to insult my intelligence like that, she would be missing a few of those expensive veneers today and would have been a bridesmaid or two short. I certainly would not have taken my children back. I don't care what the world and the tabloids would have said, but my husband would have attended alone as well. Oh, and then, of course, you all know by now that Big Willie attacked poor Harold in Nottingham Cottage. Yeah, the real story is that Willie called Harold to talk to him about the bullying allegations. But Harold would have none of it and put the phone down on Big Willie. Big Willie was seething because not only did he have the bullying allegations to deal with, but the witch, we'll call her Mog, had also gone to the wife of Big Willie and asked her what it was like to be cuckolded by Big Willie or then cheated on by Big Willie. So, yeah, again, what would you have done? Anyway, Big Willie drove to Notcott, and when Harold gave him lip, he grabbed him by the collar and shoved poor Harold, breaking Harold's necklace and causing Harold to fall onto the dog bowl. Big Willie challenged Harold to hit him back, but Harold saw his miserable life playing off in front of his baby blue eyes and politely declined, after which Big Willie stormed off, but came back minutes later and apologized before he finally left. Harold was so distraught by the scuffle with his brother that he immediately called his therapist. Unfortunately, Harold does not explain how he could have had his therapist on speed dial, but when the witch, Mog, said that she wanted to commit harikiri, they could not come up with a single name or one single idea between the two of them. Harold allegedly also told us what we all so desperately needed to know, namely that both him and Big Willie were circumcised. Well, I don't know about you, but I had sleepless nights wondering about that. No, I didn't. Oh, oh, but wait for this. According to Harold, Big Willie and the Caithness encouraged him to wear that Nazi uniform. Yes, folks, Big Willie said, Harold, wear that costume or I'll break every necklace you ever own. According to Harold, he and Big Willie begged the king not to marry the camel woman. He says he had visions of the evil stepmother. Yes, folks, when the king to be married the camel woman, Harold was 21 years old, but he still had the Disney nightmares of a 6-year-old. He says the camel woman looked bored when he was introduced, and they spoke a bit about horses. Yes, I guess she took 2 plastic horses from her handbag and went clippity-clap, clippity-clop, clippity-clop all over the coffee table. Then Harold insisted on having the brown one, and they played horse races for 5 minutes, and she, the camel woman, let him win. Anyway, he said that his father went ahead with the wedding plans anyway. Of course, Harold cannot help but think that if this did not happen, his dead mommy would still have been queen. Okay? Ugh, and the poor Harold, his terrible life. I'm running out of tissues, so perhaps I should scroll my PayPal over the screen so you guys can sponsor me tissues and toilet paper, because at times I laughed so hard that I actually pee myself. Anyway, Harold also thought we needed to know that he lost his virginity behind a pub at the age of 17. Well, I don't know about you, but I just don't know how I survived without that information. My friends, I'm truly struggling through this video. If I keep laughing like this, I'm going to choke. But choke, I just might, because Harold at some point tells how he was not aware that Big Willie and the Caithness watched Suits. So, where he was worried that they may not welcome Mog, it ended up him being afraid that they would hound Mog for an autograph. Sorry, guys. I had to insert some sound stock borrowed from my grandson, because every time I laugh, I end up coughing. Anyway, so goodness, I hope you guys have time on your hands, because just as I think I'm now about to end the video, the next thing pops up into my feed. Harold tells how he learned that Mog was pregnant. Now, I don't know which kid this story refers to because there's another one about Mog singing to the seals or something, but I'm not there yet. But never mind. Mog allegedly took a series of at home pregnancy tests, and allegedly Harold fell asleep during the process. When he woke up, he found that Mog had placed the wands on the nightstand next to the blue box containing his mother's hair. Yes, friends, my laughter died down a little, and instead I was swallowing a little bile. Harold says he felt his late mother, Princess Diana, beside him in that moment. He writes, "Let's see what Mummy can do with this situation," he wrote before seeing that the test lines were indeed bright blue. Phew. Now, if you think it is weird sleeping with a man who keeps his mother's hair next to his bed, wait until you hear what Harold said Mog did. According to Harold, he rode out to his mom's grave and memorial site on the 20th anniversary of Diana's death. After taking a moment to reflect by himself, he says he sensed, yes, he sensed that Mog needed a private moment. On returning to her, he found her on her hands and knees, with her eyes closed and her palms flat against the stone, asking Diana for clarity and guidance. Guys, this is sick, or witchcraft, or voodoo, or just pure craziness, invoking the spirits of dead ancestors. Seriously? And Harold is actually eating this all up while Mog is manipulating him in the name of his long deceased mother. Vomit inducing crazy stuff. At one point, he even talks about going to see a spiritualist or a medium or a woman with powers, as dimwit Harold called her. He said that the moment he sat down with her, he felt an energy, and she gave him a message from his mother saying that he is now living the life that she couldn't. But yes, some people do that, and some people even find solace in it, and that's okay. But Harold's complete and utter deranged mind is clear when he also says things like, "My mother's sentence that there were three people in her marriage was legendary, but her calculations were wrong. William and I were left out of the equation." Hey, shush. This, my friends, is mental. Kids are a product of a marriage and part of a family. They are not in the marriage. A marriage is between two people, a couple, or in this case, between Charles and Diana. I would not believe this before when someone suggested it. But Harold honestly appears to have some sick sexual fantasy about his mother. It is something I never understood or wanted to understand and not accept. But here you go. Here he gives it to us in all its sick glory. Harold is so sickly jealous that he even makes a point of putting pen to paper, spending time, and inserting in his book when talking about Prince Philip's funeral, not about how sad he was, how much he knew he would miss his grandfather. Oh, no, no, no. Instead, he talks about how shocked he was by how much hair William had lost. Harold writes that William's boldness was alarming and more advanced than his own. How he thought William's resemblance to their mother had faded. Honestly, I expected a load of hogwash and craziness with a few dramatized lies. Honestly, I did. But so far, this has exceeded even my worst expectations. This is childish, crazy, insane, beyond, far beyond my worst expectations. I do a lot of writing myself, as it comes almost naturally to me to write about everything and anything. I love folklore and writing about ordinary people, science fiction, fantasy, but never in 50 years have I ever thought of wasting time to write about my sister's hair, for instance, or scuffles between myself and my siblings. Not ever. It just is not something I thought anyone would ever be interested in, no matter how I wrote it. Harry is in any event so off the mark. There are bold men, including his very own brother, who are 100 times more sexy than him with his monk hairstyle or monk cut or monk style baldness. No, Harold, that monk's circle on your head against a greasy, sweaty scalp is anything but sexy. As a matter of fact, Harold, it is anything but sexy, but rather off-putting and gross. So you, my dear Harold, can do with putting a razor at number 2 or 3 through your head or through your hair. Okay, my dears, now there's a lot more, but I did something silly today and I went gallivanting unexpectedly in the middle of the day, and thus I'm staring our next load shedding phase in the face. Doggy food needs to be prepared and all those things. But tomorrow we'll go dig deep into the more serious things that had since come out. And we'll talk about that and see how far we get. So until then, please take good care of yourselves. Bye.